Here's a fun little paradox for you. What if I told you that the most successful Indiana Jones movie is also the one that a whole lot of fans just can't stand? Today, we're grabbing our whips and fedoras to dig into the box office mystery of one of cinema's absolute greatest heroes.
I mean, come on, it's the Indiana Jones franchise. It's a cinematic legend. The brainchild of George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, it didn't just give us an iconic hero, it defined the action-adventure genre for generations.
So, how do you measure success? Is it all about the box office numbers, or is it about the lasting love from the fans? Well, for Indiana Jones, that question, it has a surprisingly complicated answer. So let's get into it.
Okay, to solve this mystery, we're gonna follow the money. We're counting down the worldwide box office for all 5 films, from the lowest to the highest. And trust me, the results might just throw you for a loop. All right, coming in at number 5 is the prequel, the dark and pretty intense Temple of Doom. Now, even though it's technically the lowest grossing of the bunch, don't let that fool you. Raking in over $333 million, this thing was a massive commercial hit. In fact, it was the highest grossing film of 1984. Its scenes were so intense that it was actually a key reason the PG-13 rating was created. Now that's cultural impact. At number 4, we have Indy's most recent adventure, Dial of Destiny. You know, this was supposed to be the grand, nostalgic finale for Harrison Ford's legendary character. But with a global haul of just over $383 million, it was a major financial disappointment for Disney. It seems that old-school nostalgia just didn't quite connect with audiences the way other big legacy sequels, like for Star Wars, have. And in third place, we have the one that started it all, the cinematic masterpiece Raiders of the Lost Ark. And this wasn't just another movie, it was a total game changer. Raiders was a legit cultural phenomenon. It blew everything else away to become the highest grossing film of 1981. It got a nomination for Best Picture, which was huge for an action flick, and it proved that those old school adventure stories could be modern blockbusters. And our runner-up is the fantastic, heartfelt conclusion to the original trilogy, The Last Crusade. And this film, well, it had a secret weapon that audiences went absolutely crazy for.
And that secret weapon? Sean Connery, James Bond himself, playing Indy's dad. Their chemistry was just incredible, and it turned out to be pure box office gold. It became the most successful film in the series at the time, pulling in a massive $474 million. So that just leaves one. Which film took the number 1 spot? Was it the original masterpiece, the beloved third one? The answer might surprise you, because the highest-grossing Indiana Jones film is also by far the most controversial. Yup, the number 1 film is the one many fans consider the worst. And right there, that's the central mystery of the Indiana Jones franchise. The biggest financial success is also the most debated, and for a lot of people, the most disliked. And it's not even a close race. Crystal Skull earned over $790 million worldwide. That is more than $300 million clear of second place. After 19 years, the hype for Indy's return was just off the charts. This chart really tells the story, doesn't it? I mean, just look at that colossal bar for Crystal Skull. It completely towers over the others. The financial data tells one story, but fan reception, that tells a completely different one. And this quote from a fan really captures how a lot of people felt. They went in with these huge expectations, and they walked out feeling, well, confused. And of course, in the age of the internet, that disappointment was amplified like never before, creating this absolute firestorm of backlash. So the fan criticism really boils down to a few key things that just shattered their idea of what an Indiana Jones adventure should be. It wasn't about the money, it was about the feel of the movie. A lot of fans felt the film got too goofy, even for a series that's always had fantastical elements. The over-the-top scenes, the kind of dated CGI, and the big shift from religious artifacts to sci-fi aliens, those were all major points of conflict. Okay, let's talk about the infamous nuke the fridge moment. Fans argued that, yeah, the earlier films had wild stunts, like jumping from a plane in a raft. But this crossed a line into just pure absurdity. And what's fascinating is that the raft stunt was actually tested. They found it was technically possible, even if it was highly unlikely. The fridge scene, though, it just felt like something out of a cartoon.
That one scene was so notorious, it literally created its own catchphrase for when a series just goes too far. But the story of how that moment, and the film's other controversial choices, even made it to the screen is a really fascinating tale of creative conflict. See, the story behind the camera is just as compelling as the one on screen, and it reveals a pretty fundamental disagreement between the franchise's legendary creators, George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. George Lucas, who was the main storyteller, he was dead set on shifting the theme. He wanted to go all in on 50s-style B-movie sci-fi, complete with aliens. But Steven Spielberg, the director, he was really hesitant. He much preferred the series' traditional focus on, the power of religious and mystical artifacts. In the end, Spielberg deferred to his friend's vision out of loyalty, even admitting later he wasn't a big fan of the whole alien MacGuffin. But here's a twist. He did claim full responsibility for one of the film's most infamous moments. He actually confessed that nuking the fridge was his silly idea, not George's. And that leaves us with one final question. In the long run, what really matters more? A film's massive box office success, or its place in the hearts of its fans? For Indiana Jones, the answer seems pretty clear. But as Hollywood keeps chasing those blockbuster profits, it's a question that feels more relevant than ever.